Welcome to the Forensic Financialist, where we simplify business and leadership challenges and choose the road that leads to wisdom and excellence. We discuss tough issues facing business and figure out easy-to-implement solutions. Using the rear-view mirror approach, we look in the rear view to move towards a brighter future. Here's your host, Jeff Newkirk.
Welcome to the Forensic Financialist, where we aim to improve your business and help you grow both personally and professionally. I'm your host, Jeff Newkirk. In today's podcast, we're going to begin our discussion of core values. You may recall from one of my previous episodes, I said that we all need to have core values. In fact, I made the offer that if you don't have any core values, call me. We need to talk. But before we get into talking about my own core values, let's define what a core value is. So I have a few definitions that I want to discuss. The first one is from Indeed.com. And Indeed.com defines core values as personal values that guide you when making important decisions and doing work. Core values help you develop your personal and professional goals. Second definition is from John Maxwell, leadership guru. He says your values become the foundation of which everything else is built. He goes on to say that if you don't have your own set of values, you will always be at the mercy of someone else's values. It's like you can't build a house until its foundation has been set. And your values, of course, are the foundation. And if you don't have your own values, well, you're building a house on somebody else's foundation. And that's just not going to work. Third definition is from Patrick Lencioni, and another leadership guru. He suggests that core values are deeply ingrained principles that guide all of a company's actions and serve as its cultural cornerstones. Well, if you take this to the personal level, core values guide all of your actions and literally everything you do. And finally, the fourth definition from well-renowned motivational speaker Tony Robbins. He calls personal values essentially personal rules. He breaks down personal values or rules into three separate buckets: moral values, aesthetic values, and family values. Well, moral values he defines as values such as doing right or wrong, being law-abiding citizens or not, and following your own religious beliefs. Aesthetic values are those that make judgments on beauty, music, art, and then family values are shared by groups like family units. Well, I believe that we all need to have core values, and whether you choose to break them down into separate buckets or categories, that's really up to you. But the bottom line is we need to have core values. Well, now that we've defined what core values mean, let's go through 2 of my 7 core values. And today we're going to talk about serving others and having faith, 2 of my top ones. Now, I'm not going to be preaching. I'm not going to be, getting on a pedestal or anything like that. Far from it. Far from it. And I also want you to know I'm not going to be referencing anyone else's beliefs or definitions as I describe each one of my core values, because I want you to get it straight from me. I want you to see how I've taken a core value and trying to implement it into my life. And hopefully that will help you determine your own values and implement them your own way. So let's start. Serve others. What does this mean? Does it mean that if you work in a food service position as a server that you're serving others? Well, maybe. Or as a customer service professional in a retail business, are you serving others? Again, maybe. What I mean by serving others is to look beyond yourself. We are put on this planet not by happenstance or chance. There are about 7 billion people on this planet, many who do not have all that we have, like running water, food, a safe place to live, clothes on our back. So it is our responsibility to reach out to those in need and serve them. However, it doesn't stop there. We need to serve others. Others means everyone, not just those in need. So what about serving at a restaurant? Are they serving others? Well, I said maybe, right? They're serving food for sure. But in order to serve others, they have to be serving with their heart. That's what makes the difference. The serving must come from your heart. It's a giving spirit. It's more than just behavior. It's behavior and attitude. And it starts by coming from your heart. In California, there's a group of high school students. I came across this story earlier this week. This group of high school students created a website with the sole purpose of assisting seniors with grocery delivery, something that's pretty critical during this pandemic. I mean, seniors can't get out. And they called it Zoomers to Boomers. I love that name, Zoomers to Boomers. It's a free delivery service for seniors to help them keep safe during the pandemic. That's serving. I mean, these group of high school students got together, figured out how can we help those in need, and they came up with this Zoomers to Boomers. They're helping those that are most susceptible in this time of COVID. A story like this, it gives us hope for the future. When I was 16, I worked in a maintenance department at a hospital. It was a great way for me to learn general maintenance and those types of tasks that go along with general maintenance, like putting in ceiling tiles, painting parking lot signs, and things like that. And while I was at the hospital, there was a gentleman that worked in housekeeping during the day shift, and his name was Chester. Well, Chester always had a smile and always said hello to everyone. He had some developmental challenges, but his positive attitude overshadowed any deficiencies that he may have had. One day, I saw Chester walk out of the administrative offices, and I passed him in the hallway, and of course we exchanged hellos. And of course he had the big smile on his face, as he always did. Well, I was sort of confused why he came out of administration. It didn't seem like that would be, typical. And of course, I was 16, naive, but it didn't make sense. And so I asked, and sort of had an in because my dad worked in administration. So I asked him, Dad, what was Chester doing in administration? My dad asked back, why do you ask? I said, well, it doesn't make sense. He works in housekeeping. What's he doing in administration? My dad asked, why do you care? I said, well, big decisions are made in administration. And, Chester was in your office area. I just was curious. My dad said, don't judge. Chester is an important part of this hospital. The worst thing you can do is assume that people only fill certain roles, and that's it. Everyone has value in their own way. Chester brings a lot of value to the organization. Don't assume that he doesn't. Well, the conversation stopped there, but I learned a valuable lesson that day. Serving others takes on many meanings, but the one outcome must be that your actions, your behavior, somehow improves the circumstances of the other person. I think my dad did that for Chester. And, maybe even more, I think Chester did that for my dad. I think you get the point on serving others, but let me leave you with this one thought. When you serve others, it's a natural win-win. Why? Because you are giving to someone else who may be in need or maybe not. And once you serve, you feel better. If they're in need, awesome. If they're not, you are still helping them. Serving builds confidence. It creates a more positive thought process. I promise. So try it. You'll like it. The second core value on my list that I want to talk about today is faith. You've got to have faith. Again, I'm not going to be preaching here. Really, I'm not, I promise. But what happens when we don't have faith? We begin to think and believe that we are in control, right? Everything we do is on us. Every outcome is because of us. There is no higher power. We don't have to answer to anybody, and we are not accountable to anyone. We're in charge. Well, not true. Faith can strengthen us. It can keep us grounded. It reminds us that we are not in control. We have the ability to make our own decisions, yes, good and bad. But we will answer for every single decision that we make, both now and later. I truly believe that. So for me, my faith is in God. For you, well, you need to decide that. That's up to you. But here's the thing about faith. It's not some outcome you place on a dashboard. It's not something that you report on. No. For me, it's between me and God. God knows my faith, and I believe that He knows yours too. No one else really is going to know what's in your heart, but God will know. Your higher power will know. So that said, think about your faith and your higher power. And does it keep you grounded? Does it help you make decisions? It should. Am I saying that faith will give you a stress-free life? No. Am I saying that if you have faith, you will never have any challenges in your life? No, of course not. On April 5th, 1944, Anne Frank wrote in her diary, and I quote, "I want to be useful or bring enjoyment to all people, even those that I've never met. I want to go on living after my death. And that's why I'm so grateful to God for having given me this gift, which I can use to develop myself and to express all that's inside of me." End quote. Now, Anne Frank was 15 at the time. She was 15 years old when she wrote that. And then she went on to die at the Auschwitz concentration camp. I mean, can you believe that faith? That is truly incredible. Some people think that having faith means that you go to church or you go to temple or you go to the mosque all the time, regularly. And I contend that that certainly helps and it's beneficial. But I'll also add that it's not the fact that you go to church or temple or mosque regularly. It's the behavior that you exhibit outside of the doors of your house of worship that makes the difference. You learn and worship inside, but what you do with that information and what's in your heart, well, that takes place on the outside. So, do you have to go to church or temple or mosque to have faith? No, I don't believe that you do. I think it helps, like I said, but I don't think that that's a prerequisite. Faith encompasses more than religious faith. You decide what you're going to put your faith in. As I said, for me, my faith is in a higher power, in God. It helps keep me grounded. It helps provide me with that foundation, and it helps guide my every decision. So, with that, you might be wondering, well, Jeff, how is your faith? You kind of sound like a preacher. No, not at all, and I don't even pretend to be one. But it is a core value of mine. I think it's important, and I'm doing the best I can to have a stronger faith. I fall short, like every day. But It's a continual opportunity to strengthen my faith. And I don't want to say it's a constant struggle, because that has a negative connotation. I don't want that. Strengthening my faith is an opportunity to improve. But you got to start by having faith. And then you got to continue by working to strengthen it. Okay, that's a wrap for today. As always, I am so grateful that you listened. My hope is that you received at least one nugget of useful information today and maybe got a little inspired. If you want to reach out and talk core values further, please feel free to contact me at www.pemconsulting.com. That's PEM, businessconsulting.com. And just contact me via the website, or you can email me at info@pembusinessconsulting.com. I hope to hear from you. Great being with you today. Thanks for listening. Make it a great day and make tomorrow even better. Peace, everyone.
You've been listening to the Forensic Financialist, where we simplify business and leadership challenges and choose the road that leads to wisdom and excellence. To learn more about Jeff, visit his website at understandablesolutions.com or email Jeff at jeff@understandablesolutions.com. Mentioning this podcast will get you a complimentary discovery session with Jeff. Until next time.